I'm Nathan, and this is Sean with Barely Tactical. And the forums are littered with a question that hasn't been answered yet. Do Turkish shotguns suck? So we decided to up the ante, and both went in, bought a gently used, low round count, of course the salesman's going to say that, tactical Turknellis. If you're not familiar with the term, it's a Turkish clone of the Benelli M4, and they are supposed to be super duper good.
Yeah, so we've both been kind of bit by Turkish shotguns in the past. We've both owned several, and it hasn't been a great experience. So we did decide once and for all to say, hey, we're going to take some of the better, I'd say, better ones on the market at least, and go. So this is a Revolution Arms Impact R4.
And this is the Solun TAC 12, not to be confused with the Remington TAC 12. They definitely looked into their copyright before they named it.
Yeah. So we decided to go into the field with multiple boxes of various 12 gauge to see what would happen, and the results may or may not surprise you, depending on if you own Turkish shotguns or have experience with these. But yeah.
We went through a pretty thorough spread from our good friend Challenger First Class Target Load, your generic low brass number 9 or 7.5 depending on the box.
Awful.
Score, which is a higher end skeet load. We have Winchester Super Target in 7.5.
A bunch of other Winchesters.
We have Magnum 3-inch high brass, which it should give a semi-on-mac its best chance to cycle correctly. We ran some high brass buckshot, and a couple more towards the bottom, your kind of middle of the range birdshot loads.
Yeah. So we took these out a while back, just kind of as they are, and we'll start with the Challenger there. So Challenger is, I want to say, notorious, at least for me, because the only shotguns aside from 2 that I've owned have been Turkish shotguns, and they haven't liked Challenger, and I've just kind of developed a distaste for Challenger. These were no different. My gun hated the Challenger almost as much as I did. So yeah, it gets a big X. I believe there was a failure to eject and a couple double feeds.
Failure to extract as well.
Failure to extract, yeah. Well, yeah. It was awful. Yeah, but how did your gun fare?
So mine fared relatively well. It was curious in the fact that I would have a couple light primer strikes. I think out of the 50 or 75 cycled through, we had 2 or 3 light primer strikes. Put it back in the gun after you're waiting 30 seconds like you're supposed to do. Rack it, put it back in, and bang, they'd go off. So maybe it's the ammo, maybe it's Maybelline, but it gets a middle of the road for that one. So up next, we have the venerable Score Rapid Target Load, a number 8 pellet, decently fast at 1250 FPS.
It's also Canadian, which is nice.
Canadian, and it's a pretty reliable, moderately powerful target load. It cycles in almost everything. Well, Sean,
not this one. Yeah, I was saying, I love that lead up because I'm sitting here thinking, oh shit. I have a lot of Score, which I've been firing out of my Ithic 37 like a madman, and it doesn't like it. That's going to be a theme. You're probably going to hate me for saying it, but yeah, it gets a giant X because, again, I think it was a failure to eject,
failure to feed, double feed,
every issue. The only thing, and this is kind of spoiling, the only thing I wasn't having was I wasn't really having light primer strikes with anything, but I was having every other issue, which arguably I would want light primer strikes.
Oh, light primer strikes are coverable. Oh, yeah. Rack that one out and the gun keeps going. You're not busting out the armorer's kit and picking.
You're trying to fish into the chamber to take out, like, it's, as you will see from the overlay B-roll that we have here, it's painful, and you can probably see the soul, or my soul, leaving my eyes in the pain there.
Your credit card weeping softly.
Yeah.
If you listen carefully.
But how did it fare for you?
So the Solun actually enjoyed it, so it gets its first check mark of the day. Ran flawlessly, would do again.
Next up, we have Winchester Super Target, which is 2 3/4, 7.5 shot. And this one actually worked. I didn't have any issues with it. I'm pretty sure I didn't have any issues with it. We'll have to review again, but yeah, I think this one actually worked, which is strange when we start getting down because there's nothing special about it. Like, there's absolutely nothing special about this ammo. I think I fired more than a box worth out of it without any issues, which was weird. This was also the first box I shot on the day, so that could be a factor. I don't know. But it liked it. It actually liked it.
And the funny part is, if you look at the specs, it's the same dram, it's the same payload more or less as the score. One worked, one did not. We kind of kept the good times rolling with the Solun, and we got a second check mark.
Yep.
Our next brand of ammo was stepping it up in the power factor. We went to 3-inch Magnum high brass loads, number 4 shot, 1 1/8 ounce, 1,550 feet per second. That's a pretty devastating payload. Game size, appropriate. And this one was a mixed bag. Sean, would you care to take the floor at this one?
Oh, I really don't want to. Okay, so you'd think that this would be, oh, well, it's a 3-inch Magnum, like hybrid. It's got the best chance.
And these are rated for 3-inch. Before people say we put them in the gun incorrectly, it's on the side of them.
Yeah. It hated it. Actually, it really hated it because I think it had every issue aside from, again, the primer strikes. I was digging shells out of this. I think it was every other shot. There were even times, and you can say like, oh, well, maybe there's something up with your spring, or like, you're having issues. There were times where there was only one shell in there, and it still did not eject the round. It didn't actually go like the claw, like left the round, and it was just stuck in there, so I had to fish it out. So something you don't really want to do in the angry no share time or some kind of war setting or something like that.
No, hunting, heck, even plinking and having fun, it takes the fun out of the fun.
It pissed me off. I was a little tilted.
Should we double down on that?
Yeah, I think throw another X in there. Cause,
maybe a sad face to really illustrate
it
was not good.
Yeah, I want a sad face there, and I'm going to burn that Challenger afterwards. Because how did it work for you, Nathan?
So for me, the light primer strike Gremlins returned, and we gave it a whomp. It wasn't all the time, but it happened on a couple of them, which is curious. Different manufacturers, light primer strikes yet again. Maybe it's a hammer spring, or something's kind of not at full power, but recurring issue on this end of the table.
Yeah. So up next, we have basically its brother, which is the 3-inch Magnum number 2 shot. And if I remember correctly, this one only had a few issues from mine. I think, was it failure to feed or failure to eject?
So this one had a failure to eject, but it would do the rest of it, sort of.
Yeah.
So
I didn't have to do the terrible thing where you're taking the actual good shell out, so you can then ram out the spent one, which is that's just, every time I had to do that, I saw red. Honestly,
whips gun into the woods.
Yeah, as somebody we know said, I felt like wrapping it around a tree. But
talking about you, Ron.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was better. But again, so something I haven't really said yet, and I should have started with, is there's no consistency here with this, and I'm sorry, because I know we try to do this as scientifically as we could, of let's go through, there should be patterns that make sense.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a pattern of this gun, you're not going to find it, because I don't understand why something like this would work, and then we have different issues with these two, even though they're almost the exact same. Well, they are pretty well the same.
Not to butt in, but these are literally the exact same payload, same powder charge. The difference is it's 1 1/8 ounce of number 4 versus 1 1/8 ounce, so same weight of number 2. Different shape pellets, same weight, same brand.
Yep.
Bought from the same store, probably similar lot numbers. Why would one work and not the other?
And you could even say, oh, it's because you shot that one first, so it's already fouled up. I'm pretty sure I actually shot the number 2 before I shot the 4.
Yeah, we got a little out of step with some of them.
So, it...
And even then, we're only in 100-something rounds at this point. That shouldn't be, this gun's ruined territory. People take their duck gun out, practice all weekend, go to duck season and throw it in their, dirty, high-humidity locker in their hunting camp for a year and a half, drag it back out, and they're not too dirty to work. So.
Yeah. Speaking of too dirty to work, how did yours fare?
So this one actually gets the check mark. Curious, exact same primers, we would think, unless they do something super special between those two. These ones went off just great. It was smooth sailing, and they seem to be pretty devastating.
Yep. Speaking of pretty devastating, up next we have probably the best shell on here.
The Federal... Power Shock double-aught buck. Wrote it down because it's on the side of the box. Sick payload, awesome, hypothetical and not able to do in Canada self-defense round. good hunting round, good making pumpkins turn into smaller pumpkins round, making big rocks into little rocks.
This is the prom queen.
Yeah. This is the Cadillac on cocaine.
Yeah.
And how do they fare?
Well, we're cheap. We're not made of money, so we actually only had about 5 each, and by about, I mean we had exactly 5 each.
One full box before you say we're really pinching pennies. We shot the full box.
This is 2022, and ammo, including shotgun shells, is stupidly expensive.
I think they're 20-something bucks for the 5.
It was something. It was a toonie, trigger pull basically, but they worked. They worked extremely well. These were the last things I fired that day. I was so pissed off and fatigued that I was just like, I'm just throwing these in here and I don't care if they work. And of course they did work, and that would have been really fun if I hadn't been through this list of failure.
Slogging through like 150 shells of mishaps.
So, if these were, like 50 cents a round or something like that, or like something good, I would probably shoot that all day and I'd be fine. But it's not. It's expensive. So, unlike these guns. Because these are not super, super expensive. I'll put that out there.
Yeah, honestly.
But
makes you wonder, do you get what you pay for, Sean?
I'm sensing a theme. There might be a conclusion coming up here.
To tie this one up, mine did indeed work. Apparently a large amount of powder with a heavy payload makes this action cycle. Who would have guessed it?
Yeah. After this, we ended up kind of coming across a potential solution. We were kind of scratching our heads, and so we kind of hit the drawing board a little bit, and we decided to try something new. Well, we're out here for round 2. We've completely taken these apart. We've stripped them, we've oiled them up as much as they possibly can be and cleaned them and all that. This is probably the best chance they're going to have. So if these don't work, then I don't know, we can't really defend them at that point. But we've got some new ammo, a little bit of everything, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, we're actually going in at a nice moderate temperature. It's not cold, it's not particularly hot. It's about as neutral of an environment as we're going to get. So let's see what happens.
Next, we have a state, which is something we bought this morning, which is number 8 birdshot, 2 3/4. Nothing really special about it. I had, I believe, 1, maybe 2 failures to extract there, which again, in terms of versus the X's, you're almost like, oh, thank God, it just didn't pull the round out, okay. Which is a really sad state of affairs, to say the least. So yeah, had 1 fail, and honestly, that's almost good, I want to say, because like I know things happen, especially with semi-autos and stuff. It's just after you see these patterns, you're almost like, oh my God, like it just keeps happening.
The only thing consistent is it being inconsistent.
Exactly.
Because we had some spurts where you get 4 or 5 out in a row, and oh, maybe this is the shell, and then womp womp, horrific double feed followed by a second horrific double feed. It is definitely a little discouraging. To keep the gremlin times rolling, Mr. Light Firing Pin strikes yet again.
Yeah, it's interesting that you had, because I think in this one you had 2 or 3 back to, or something like that. Or you had a few.
Yeah,
back to back.
I had for sure 2. Yeah. The tapes will kind of tell the tale.
Yeah.
Insignificant malfunction, but a malfunction nonetheless. That line does not get an upswoop, making it a check mark.
Reminder, if you have a soft primer strike where you pull the trigger and it goes click, the first thing you shouldn't do is swing it at your friend, otherwise you know that friend doesn't like you.
Don't look down the barrel.
Yeah.
Follow the instructions as per your safety course. Safe direction, wait 30 seconds, take it out of the gun.
Look up hang fires, they're fun. So next, or sorry, I should say last, we have another Winchester box, which is 2 3/4, number 2 shot, and this worked perfectly. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Because it followed suit with the super target stuff, which there might actually be a reason why this stuff is happening. We spoke to somebody, and they mentioned that because conventional wisdom says that the high brass 3-inch shells should have the best chance of running through the system and getting everything going. But potentially there is a tiny, I'll say tiny pattern here with the 2 3/4 that are working. Don't pay attention to the other 2 3/4. These are cheap. Well, no, this is cheap. This is not necessarily cheap. This one breaks the pattern, I think. The score is the thing that really like...
Because this costs the same as Challenger on the average day of the week.
That too. Okay, so I lied. There's no consistency here. I just wanted to sound smart. So there's 2 Winchesters out of 4 that worked, and they're the cheaper. They're actually, I think they are the cheapest of the 4 Winchester boxes here, but it worked. It was again the first box. These 2 share the same thing though. They were the first boxes I fired on each day. Interesting. This one was after a super thorough cleaning, and well, as I mentioned, like we oiled these down.
We literally oiled them minutes before we shot them, just to rule out maybe they were dried out a little bit. Like these were still dripping. Like check the grease stains on the clothes; they were still dripping when we shot them.
Honestly, you'll actually see some like smoke and stuff because of some of his oil like burning out. It was kind of cool. It almost looked like it was like a black powder or something.
Yeah, no, just the sweet smell of Lucas Oil CLP.
But that worked for me.
Cancer included.
That worked for me. How did it work for you?
It worked great for me as well. So curious that a middle of the pack kind of load worked fine. And then we have intermittent, sometimes the primers don't go off. So maybe it's a spraying issue, maybe it's a hammer. I don't know the trigger groups of these guns particularly well yet. Maybe it needs to be resprung or something. Remains to be seen. So Sean, the $1 million question. Do Turkish shotguns suck? Give it to them straight, give them to them plain, give it to them dirty.
This gun sucks. That's all I can say. And it's just, it's bothered me a lot. It's abused me, as you can see here. I don't know if I could have a defective, there could be something wrong with this. The chamber needs to be reamed out or something like that.
Could be a lemon, tolerances are out of spec.
Something like that. They could just hate me in Turkey. I don't know. I want to say that every Turkish shotgun I have handled has had something wrong with it, or something quirky, or something like, oh yeah, you can shoot it, but you can only buy the shells that they make on Tuesday, because if you buy the Wednesday shells, it won't fire.
Make sure you wear your tinfoil hat sideways with the flag pointing northeast. Mercury can't be in complete retrograde, or it's not the day to take the gun out.
But that's the thing. When I grab a shotgun, I expect it to be, hey, this is something rugged and dirty, and I can throw whatever it can take in it, I'm going to throw in it, and it's going to be fine. Like, maybe it doesn't like slugs or something like that, like something simple, but these just seem to have so many issues. My Canuck Defender fell apart. You had 2 guns that each had, breaking like issues and stuff.
Yeah.
And these are just, I want to say lemons. Like, I don't know. I'm just not enjoying this. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I'm upset.
So we have 1 vote for certainly sucks.
Yeah, unfortunately. I wanted to love it.
I had high hopes for it. These look cool. These look mean. You want the Benelli, but this is the Benelli you have at home.
Benelli.
This worked sort of mediumly, and the takeaway is maybe as we tinkered with, but out of the box, I wouldn't say it rocks.
Yeah. Especially, as you said, if this is something you just want to take out and have fun, which is at the bare minimum of something you should want from a firearm, it's not quite there. And so that the point of entry is just, it's not great.
Well, you said it all. Save up and buy a Benelli, or stick to Grandpa's 870 or Ithaca. They work. These despite the spiked muzzle, that breacher choke. You think it would make it good?
They look cool.
They look cool. You get the John Wick bad tab. You get all the cool stuff. Extended handle, extended buttons. The stock does this.
We got catfished, man. Like, these guns look cool. They are cool. They just don't work.
They were local MILFs in your area. Just click here. And this is what happened.
we gotta stop clicking, apparently, because we're... I don't even want to say what's happening, but we're getting something overed. But yeah, this has been kind of a sadder video that we've done. Until next time, we've got something really exciting coming down the pipe. Which is not a Turkish shotgun, because the pipe wouldn't work. That's right, these are pipes. But if you're from Turkey or you make Turkish shotguns, please don't come after us. We will not provide our email or our address. But if you want to let us know why your guns suck, we can talk, I guess. But,
yeah. And as a final caveat, we will be taking these in to get looked at.
Yeah.
Maybe there was something that we just didn't know.
Maybe it's not you, it's me. Maybe.
Like I've built these before. There's nothing obviously wrong with them to the naked eye. Maybe a local gunsmith will have more insight into it. If there's a magic revelation, we'll follow up. But this might be the last you see of these on Barely Tactical.
If there's something wrong with this and it ends up working, I'll be the first to apologize. But not today.
to the proud nation of Turkey.
Yeah, to the proud
a personal address to the people.
Yeah, but there's a day to apologize, and that day is not today. Until next time, keep your sights fixed on Barely Tactical, and we'll catch you later. Right off the bat,